Welcome to Uncovering the Gems, a podcast for the city of La Quinta. We are excited to bring you another episode. Today we have Michael Calderon with Community Services. We're going to talk about art in public places. Thanks for being here, Michael. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, as you said, my name is Michael Calderon. I'm the Management Analyst here for the City of La Quinta's Community Services Department. And here at the city, it's my role to assist our Community Services Deputy Director, Quinta Calderon. We've got the same last name, no relation, we're not married. People do ask that. But anyway, I help Quinta with overseeing some of the programs in the Community Services Department, which includes city events, the Wellness Center, X Park, library, and of course the Art in Public Places program.
Awesome. Talk to me a little bit before we jump into it. I'd like to kind of understand, I think, not everybody is cut out for public service. And so I'd like to just get to know a little bit about why you chose to get into local government.
That's a great question. I sort of fell into it. A lot of my family members are in public service. My mom worked for a city for a very long time, became city manager at one point. My stepfather was a police officer. My sister is a police officer. So we have a long history of public employees. My first position when I was in high school, my very first job was working for the City of Redlands Recreation Department.
Okay.
And so I helped coach basketball, even though I'm terrible at basketball, but I helped coach. I helped run the, the community center there. Anyway, that I think was a really great experience for me, and I found public service rewarding, and I liked being able to serve and provide services and programs for the community. And I guess ever since then, I was hooked because I'm still in public service, so here I am.
How long have you been in public service for?
I've been at the City of La Quinta for about 5 years now, but total, because I did work with a few other municipalities, maybe 8 years, maybe
Okay.
go 8 to 10 years.
Okay, you're vested.
Yeah,
you're
it's
vested
been a while.
now.
Yes, I hope so. I hope so.
Well, let's talk about art in public places. For those that don't know, this is one of the programs that the city of La Quinta provides. Give us a little bit of history or background on what Art in Public Places, or as we like to call it, APP, is, and kind of how it came about.
Yeah, so public art's always been a component to the city of La Quinta, I guess you could say. And it was back in 1990 when the city council approved or officially approved the Art in Public Places program, with the goal being, because we are a city that values arts and culture, we want to make sure that we have a program in place to bring as much community art and public art out installed around the city as possible. And basically the Art in Public Places program now includes about 170-ish public art pieces that we've been collecting since 1990 that are on display all over the city. And so we have paintings, photography, sculptures, and the collection continues to grow.
Yeah.
And it's just a great opportunity to bring public art out to our residents and our visitors.
Awesome. And people can see this pretty much where?
Everywhere, essentially. If you've been to any of our public facilities like City Hall, the Wellness Center, the library, we have a lot of public art there. So there's plenty to see at those facilities in addition to Civic Center Park. We have murals around the city. We have a few large sculptures in our roundabouts located throughout the city.
Oh, yeah.
There's an art piece at La Quinta Park. We have an art piece at the X Park. So it's really all over the city where you could view and engage with various public artworks.
I love that. I love that we have it literally accessible to the public. People can see it. They can enjoy it. I know there's been times where we've seen in front of some of our murals, people are taking photos and things like that, whether it's a selfie or it's an actual professional photo shoot with the family. So I love that we are able to really bring that to the community. So let's talk real quick. So art in public places is considered one of our sacred values. I know that the sacred values for the city of La Quinta, they are kind of the building blocks of how we do things. Mm-hmm. The programs that we have, things like that. So, I mean, I would like to talk a little bit of how does APP fulfill some of those sacred values?
One of our sacred values is being a visually beautiful city, and I think APP fits in rather nicely with that because a lot of the art that we have, the intention is to beautify the area around it. So we're bringing colorful works of art, sculptures that are hand blown glass, that are carved wood. So some of our art pieces themselves are really beautiful, and what we're trying to do is put them out in public places to enhance the beauty that we already have here. And I think Civic Center campus is a great example of that. It's already a beautiful park. The grass is nice. We've got the pond with the ducks, the fish, the trees, right? The landscaping looks really, really beautiful. And what we've done at that particular location is we brought art pieces outdoors so people could not only engage with the park itself and enjoy being in nature and outdoors, they also have artwork to view while they're out there.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, we've definitely incorporated art into the fabric of the city, which is great. How is art, in your opinion, especially with this program, how is that relevant or important to our residents, our community, our visitors? I mean, I want to say that it's pretty obvious, but I don't know that people realize the thought process that goes into it.
Yeah, and some people don't. Some people appreciate art more than others, and that's okay.
It's objective, right?
Exactly. Yes. But how is the Mona Lisa important? Right? Do people walk by Van Gogh's Starry Night and say, "Is this really relevant?"
Right.
I mean, of course not. Right? Art is it serves so many functions in our community. In addition to beautifying the city, I feel like people who really appreciate art, they like to engage with it. They like to think about it
Yeah.
and reflect on the thoughts or the emotions that are evoked from that art. And for some, and for a lot of people, especially in our community, it's really meaningful to have public art everywhere. Even though for some, they may see a piece at City Hall and they're like, oh, okay, I don't really like it that much.
Hmm.
But there are a lot of people who will go into City Hall and be like, wow, that piece is amazing. What is that glass? Is that wood? Is it a painting?
Right.
What is that? And we get compliments about our public art quite a bit because it is really special to a lot of residents and visitors.
Right. And I think too, like I said, art is subjective. And so whether you love it or you hate it, I think there's a appreciation, right? I mean, how many times have people said, like, man, I can't even draw a stick figure and
Hmm.
somebody has painted this beautiful landscape or
Right.
sculpted something. And so I think that there is an appreciation by most people. But there's definitely the connoisseurs that just really take it to another level. I think that what we're doing here at the city with this program is wonderful. The arts are a special kind of category, if you will, and so the fact that we're able to honor that is always wonderful. I think too, I would like to talk a little bit. I mean, you mentioned over 170 art pieces around the city. How is that art selected by the city? I think there is a process to it, but how is it selected, and then how do we also determine where it's placed? Because we, like you said, we do have art in our roundabouts, things like that.
Hmm.
How is art selected? What's that process, and then how is it placed in the city?
So art is selected through a variety of means, and it usually involves city staff, often our Arts and Community Services Commission, and often feedback from the community or even donations from the community at times. And there is a process for our public art selections. It's not just me going out to the art show and I pick a few things to hang on the wall. We do like to get a lot of input, like I said, from the community, from the Arts and Community Services Commission. And typically, what we do or I'll say one way in which we get our commissioned art pieces is we'll send out a call to artists or an RFP to get as many concepts and designs from artists out there. We'll send it to a pre-qualified artist list, which we have, which is a list of artists that we've either worked through or worked with in the past, or our commission has seen their portfolio, if you will, and we say, okay, they might be a good fit for our style here in La Quinta. So we send out an RFP to these artists and see what kind of designs and concepts we get. And then typically what we do is we'll run them by the Arts and Community Services Commission, get their feedback. Oftentimes we'll run it by a city council to get their feedback. And essentially what we do is we try to craft an art piece that we think the community will appreciate, and
Yeah.
that we think that the commissioners, the council, that everyone in general will love, and be happy to have in their community.
I love that. And then how are we determining once we either um, that art piece is completed or we have purchased it, then how do we determine or select? Because I think that another part of that is when we are going to do a call to artists, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
is that because you already have something in mind, like a location, like, hey, there's a wall at this location, we think a mural would go there, or there's a art pad that's empty, we want to put a sculpture there. So we kind of, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but we kind of, one element is that we kind of look at that location and then determine what's the best fit there, correct?
Yes, generally we have an idea. Silver Rock Park, for example, when that park was built, the developers, the city, worked together to identify these locations where we thought down the road we do want to have some sort of public art here in this little spot. And our public works department worked with the developer to create little art pads, we call them, which
Mm-hmm.
was essentially just a circle with pavers as a
Mm-hmm.
placeholder to have art in the near future. And so when we would do a call to artists for something like that, we would already have an idea of, we have these little circular areas. We're looking for maybe a large sculpture. We'd provide those details in the RFP or the call to artists, and then we wait to see what we get back. Is it something really unique and cool we think would be a good addition to the park, and then we move forward after that.
I love that. I mean, like I said, there's always method to the mayhem, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
We are very strategic. We're very cognizant of what goes up in the city of La Quinta, how it's presented and whatnot. And I think, especially with art, we want to make sure that everything is the right fit for where it's at. So I do like that there is this process. I do like that there is input from our commission, our community, our staff, council, like you said. It is a team effort. I think that is one of the beauties of the city of La Quinta is that there's so much team effort when we're doing projects and providing services to the residents and the community, that it is everybody working together to have essentially the best fit to make our gem of the desert shine, right?
Exactly.
And so I do like that. Can you talk a little bit? This is the other big question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me a little bit about how are these art pieces paid for? Because as we know, there is perception or miscommunication, and I think it's important for especially our residents to understand how these art pieces are paid for.
Yeah, and that's a good question because people do ask about that as well. Our Art in Public Places program is funded by developer fees, and essentially commercial and residential developments. When a developer comes in to start those projects, a percentage of the development goes into our APP fund, which is essentially that's what funds all of our art purchases.
Interesting. So if somebody's coming here, let's say, and when you say development, we're talking like new businesses,
Correct.
new housing
The
developments.
housing community, yes.
Okay, and so a percentage of that. So it's literally coming from the developer. It's not coming from taxpayers, residents,
Correct.
things like that.
Correct. And if the developer, the other caveat to that is if a developer does not want to pay the development fees that go in our APP program, their other option is they themselves can just pay and have that artwork commissioned as they're sort of building their project, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And so there are a few instances where the developer works with the artist, they install the art piece, and they sort of include that art piece as part of their development.
Okay.
And either way, we're getting public art. So it's a win-win for the city.
I love that. Yeah, no, definitely. What what is your favorite art piece in the city?
That's a tough question. There's a lot. They're all my favorite.
We're not
right?
playing favorites, but
wow. So as I mentioned, we've got paintings, mixed media, wood, metal, murals. We have all kinds of art
Glass.
pieces. Glass, thank you. But I think one of my favorites, I'll try to describe it, and it's probably going to sound a little odd. If you haven't seen it, you might be like, well, why would the city choose that art piece? But it's a really, in my opinion, striking and beautiful piece, and it's called The Guardian.
Okay.
And it is a photograph. And the artist, her name is Lisa Christine, and she is a photographer who travels and has traveled all over the world taking photos of nature and people and so forth. And so she took a photo. She was traveling in India, and she saw a gentleman that she would pass through essentially in the streets every day, this
Hmm.
very striking looking older gentleman. And she thought, wow, I think he'd be great for a photo. So she asked if she could take his photo. He said, yeah, I'm open to it, sure. So they go to the roof of this building in India, and she takes a photo of him sort of leaning on this staircase. And it's a very beautiful blue color staircase, and
Mm.
he's sort of on the left side of the frame. But anyway, I know my description isn't doing it justice, but it's a really beautiful photo called The Guardian by Lisa Christine. I believe we purchased it in 2019. And if I remember correctly, when it was purchased from the La Quinta Art Celebration, which we support every year with a few purchases for our APP program. And this particular art piece was displayed in front of our city hall council chambers for a while,
Mm. Okay.
and it looked beautiful right next to the doors into the council chambers. It's still in city hall. We moved it to a different location because we do like to rotate art around.
Yep.
But there you go. That's my long-winded answer for my favorite art piece, The Guardian.
I love it. No, I know which one you're talking about. It is such a striking because of the color pop and whatnot. It is a great photo. It's beautifully done, and I really actually do like that one. I think mine would be Mother and Child. It is I think it's a bronze sculpture. It's in one of our roundabouts, and I
Oh
believe
yes,
it's
yes.
on, what is it? Calle? Is it Calle Estado? Calle,
I
I
think so.
I think it's on. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, it's beautiful. It's an homage to our history, our roots, which are the Cahuilla Indians, and
Hmm.
it's a Cahuilla woman with her child. And I love her stance in it. She is so strong. She's standing straight up, chin tilted up, and she's just got this presence about her. But she also has this protective hand on her
Hmm.
child, and every time I see it, and then obviously with our roundabouts being beautifully lit at night, it's just such a presence. But I love that it's an homage to our Cahuilla ancestors who were here before us, and it's just a really great way to pay honor to them.
Hmm.
Really, um, we're almost done. Discuss. You mentioned the Art and Community Services Commission.
Yes.
So I want to highlight them a little because they do
Yeah.
some amazing. These are residents in the city that are selected. You can expand on this, but they do so much for our city. And so, just talk to me a little bit about how those residents are selected, and then what do they do?
Yeah, and that's a great question, and I'm glad you mentioned them because I'd like to give a shout out to our Arts and Community Services commissioners. I'm sure they're listening. I'm sure they will listen. I hope so.
Yes.
But yes, they're a great group of people. We have five commissioners on the Arts and Community Services Commission, and um, essentially what they are there to do is provide input to staff about community programs and things that we have going on in the community services department. And recently, they've been very focused on our public art program because art is very special to them, which I appreciate. Some of them themselves are artists, so they have a lot of great input and feedback. And what we like to do is talk to them about some of the projects that they would like to see in the community. To become an Arts and Community Services Commissioner, essentially you just have to be a La Quinta resident and you have to be interested in serving. It's a volunteered position, and you fill out an application. All of our commissioners are vetted through council. There's a short interview process that takes place usually before a council meeting, if I remember correctly, where council will ask a few questions about the potential commissioners' um, background, what they do for a living, and so
Uh-huh.
forth. But a lot of our commissioners are serving on the Arts and Community Services Commission because they value community programs. They have their background is potentially in community programming or the arts. Like I mentioned, we do have some artists or people who worked with artists in their line of work. But anyway, so I appreciate having very dedicated commissioners who are very focused on creating a nice cohesive vision for the APP program moving forward. Because we have so many art pieces that we've been purchasing since the early 90s, right? It's a very eclectic sort of collection that we have.
Yep.
And I know one of the goals that our commissioners currently have is to see if we could create a more cohesive vision for some large scale public art down the road. They've recently been talking about the APP strategic plan, which is sort of a guideline for them to follow with some components that they want to look at moving forward. And I think that's great. I think there's a lot of opportunities in the future for public art, and I'm glad that's on their agenda. And they want to make sure that we create some art pieces that the community is going to love, but it's also going to make sense moving forward.
No, I love that. Last question. We have a new component to our APP, and that's the virtual art tour. Talk to me what that is and how did it come about?
Yeah, so our virtual art tour is online now, and basically it's the city's APP collection that you could view online. Instead of taking a walking tour, you could view everything online. Everything's digital now, as you know. And this idea came about because we have, like we've been talking about, art is spread all over the city. North La Quinta, South La Quinta. We have an art piece up in the Cove trails. And so if someone didn't want to drive around the city, they could go to our virtual art tour and see where each art piece is located, see a photo or two, read a little bit about the artist or the story, because some of the art pieces do have a really unique and cool story behind them. And this idea came about because I might have been one of our commissioners a while ago who asked about doing a staff-led tour or maybe a volunteer-led walking tour.
Oh, okay.
Which is a great idea, but we also know that it may be challenging to get volunteers to go on these,
right,
or to lead these walks through all of our art pieces. So instead of doing something that's led by a person, we decided to create this virtual tour online. So now you could access it from wherever you are, whatever time of day. If you're interested in looking at the Art in Public Places collection, visit our website, watch the virtual art tour, and learn more about what we have in the APP collection.
I love that. Well, and it gives us an opportunity to, for obviously our residents. I mean, we have residents that are able to make the trek, and then those that maybe cannot. It also allows our visitors, right, basically being able to access the ability to see the art collection throughout the city from anywhere in the world is always a plus, if you will.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, this was great. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. Art in Public Places is such a great program that the city provides, and it's nice to be able to shine a light on it. So I thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.